If we can focus our concern on first-time homebuyers, what seems to be missed is the benefit of building equity in a low interest rate environment. When interest rates are at their lowest, the biggest proportion of your monthly debt service goes towards the principal amount of that mortgage. The consequences of these new rules is restricting home ownership growth in Atlantic Canada, and also ensuring that when people do buy in the future, they are paying much higher interest rates. My example, as a builder and a real estate agent in Nova Scotia, the impact it's had on my business is huge. The Friday before the new home mortgage rules were introduced, I met with a young couple who were going to put an offer in on one of my new energy-efficient homes in Bedford. They were excited about buying their first home. But when we met on Monday, they no longer qualified. The result? They chose to sign up and rent for another year and bought a new car instead. They are not even sure that under the new rules they'll be able to make home ownership a reality in the next several years.
The very key distinction actually between the current and the previous is that the stress test only applied to people who are getting less than a 5-year term. Because the logic is, on a 5-year fixed mortgage, you have 5 years to accrue equity before you're actually exposed to the current interest rate again. In today's interest rate environment, even with a 5% down, you're almost at 20% by the end of that first 5-year term. The new changes, though, require everybody to suffer that stress test as a
Taylor?
Yeah, I would echo almost all of that sentiment. I think we heard from CMHC on Monday that 165% debt-to-income ratio, 73% of that was actually mortgage debt. The rest of it must be change, and that is tied to not great assets. If that's the case, mortgage debt is almost a forced savings plan for a good number of Canadians, and so making it more difficult for folks to start to build an asset base by virtue of their first-time purchase is really detrimental to the whole Canadian economy as a fact.
Second question, after the rules were implemented, have you guys seen a decrease in the number of people applying for a mortgage year over year?
Not applying, but certainly qualifying. And if I could go back to your first question, first-time home buyers, at least in Atlantic Canada or in my neck of the woods, which is Halifax, most first-time home buyers are coming in with 5%. It's not, the problem with it is that it's a ripple-up effect. So if that first-time home buyer can't qualify with 5% down, whose home are they buying who may have a 20% plus? If the person who has a 20% plus in equity on their current resident that is selling to that first-time home buyer, how do they then sell that house and move on if we don't have a first-time home buyer qualifying at 5% without a stress test? The stress test eliminates that first-time home buyer.